and they are not going to let this one go easily. They did defeat TSM the first time they met up, and still fighting here in the series, looking to push it to game number 3. Let's see if they can do it.
Let's see if they can. Tom Kench, LeBlanc. I think Immortals don't want to let Battlefrost play that one again. You expect Zach to join that list of bans from TSM, but they are taking their time right now. And I always like, by the way, when teams take a long time in the ban phase, once they start seeing what their opponents are doing, because the only resource you have here is time, right? And you can either squander it and ban right away, or you can use those 30 seconds to discuss, saying, hey, if they're banning Tom Kench, what do our support matchups look like now? What are we maybe looking to, push ourselves into? And you have just extra time to discuss, because that is the only resource you get here. You might as well use as much of it as you can.
It's interesting because it's a shared resource, though. The more time that you take, the more time that they have as well.
That's true as well. You're right. You both get to plan during that, and that's fair. But the first pick is going to be Galio in for Immortals. Coach Song helping make sure that's going to be the grab right there, as Gragas and Zach both taken off the table.
Alrighty.
Let's go to tank.
This is something that we have seen from Immortals before, and they usually build these around Pobelter Galio, from the mid lane, and using the versatility of either ulting top or ulting to the bottom side. We've already discussed it so much how Immortals usually will use them to the bottom side, but they keep that option open of also being able to go to Flame, who we had talked about has been performing well in his own right. So I'm very curious to see, if they actually use the other side of the flex and do put it up there and actually let Flame play it, or if it's a classic here, Pobelter take it yet again for the team, and they do try and have that, mobility style from the mid lane.
Well, you haven't mentioned it yet. Flame's done it twice, Pobelter's done it 3 times, and Rek'Sai is going to be the grab out for Sven. Even though Elise and Lee Sin are both available, I think he's taken it away from Xmithie, but Xmithie thinks he can play this champion as well himself. I think the solo lane flex pick will stay for now. TSM also choosing to not rush for the Jhin. They want to deny Thresh from Ole, and they want to deny the Rek'Sai from Xmithie, who is going to go Olaf, actually.
And I think that Rek'Sai actually works really well with Galio, so I can see why they, not only is she a top-tier jungle pick right now, but also want to deny that. You basically tunnel in with Rek'Sai, immediately you get the Galio ult on top of you while you're knocking someone up, so they stay there. And then, since you're in the middle of the team fight, you can also buy more time with your own ultimate. Regardless, though, Olaf. We've seen this. This is the kind of go-to combination.
And if I remember properly, this is the kind of comp Immortals was playing last week as well. A bunch of Bash brothers with the Galio just kind of diving in forward and hoping for very aggressive fights. And they would snowball. They'd get under 30-minute wins with this comp if it worked out for them. TSM going to now play for more backline access, or backline safety, I should say. Bjergsen on the Cassiopeia.
That's a pretty risky pick, because it's exactly as you're saying. Immortals, we've seen this before. This is their not just dive buddies. There are multiple buddies.
Dive squad.
Dive squad here.
It's a whole swim team.
And you're bringing a Cassiopeia into Olaf, who can immune it. Galio comes down on top and lands layers of CC on you, so it is difficult. Even though people think of Cassiopeia as this kind of counter engage, and it is at times especially difficult to pull off, depending on the type of engages that you're facing. And Immortals right now with some pretty decent, at least strong lanes. That being said, I like the Cassiopeia into a mid lane Galio specifically. I think that allows her to scale super well, and she can really pump out that DPS.
What's funny to me is I keep remembering old Galio when I see Cassiopeia, who would heal based on ticks of damage. And you're like, oh, I'll just bulwark all your poisons. And it's like, that doesn't work anymore, Freak. We're going to play League of Legends again.
Also, I like the added benefit whenever you pick Galio now, somebody on the enemy team ends up picking Adaptive Helm, and it kind of hurts them as far as their overall defenses against your team.
Sure.
Aha, baited.
Baited, outsmarted, all the fun stuff. Double lift here on another, again, hoping for a safety pick here in the bot lane, right? Cassiopeia, again, has the ulti. You can immune some of it, but if you play well, you can get away. Tristana now as well. Knockback for double lift, more ways to keep the back line okay.
Exactly. I really like Tristana right now. Not only does he have his own jump to reposition for all the diving that's going on, but as you said, he can use that peel for Bjergsen as well, and even kind of lend a hand there with the Cassiopeia. So they have Cassiopeia's own ultimate for counter engage, and then a Thresh to be able to reposition people, plus some extra knockbacks here.
I kind of like the choice of Kog'Maw, by the way, to diversify damage a bit more. Olaf and Renekton are basically pure physical, and Galio, as he's almost definitely building tank in the mid lane, isn't going to be a huge, massive source of magic damage, and Kog'Maw quite a bit more mix, going to make itemization a little bit harder, and the Gnar going to be making its reappearance here in the North American LCS. We saw Lorlo pick it up against Renekton before, and did very well, even though I believe they had lost that game. Gnar in for Hanser has been seen as the counterpick for Renekton from what I've seen so far, and he's going to bring it up himself.
And I really do enjoy it. And we're still on patch 7.12, as you can see in the middle of your screen there. So this is pre-buffs to Gnar, so the engage range isn't quite up to par for live, but the Black Cleaver build, the spammability of your Boomerang just does feel very good for him in the side lane to be able to kite somebody around. That being said, Renekton's still Renekton early on, and you definitely do have to worry about the early stages of the Immortals composition here, because it still is a very formidable steam train that's going to come forward.
It's going to be a fun one to watch for there here in the game 2. TSM, their lineup, their players on your screen are up 1-0 in this series. And if they close this one out, they are done with their Week 5 matches with a win on the books here. And Immortals going to hope to turn that around and bring ourselves to a game 3 in this BO3. Once again, the lineups on your screen. It's Immortals running their own kind of composition. The 4 melee Bash Brothers, the dive team, the squad, with Cody Sun in the back line on Kog'Maw.
Yeah, this is kind of a little LPL flavor there, where they've got four people charging forward and Kog'Maw right behind them, just adding the artillery from behind. Best defense, good offense, all that sort of jazz. See if TSM will be able to outplay it here. As we said, they have a lot of actually utility built into, especially the bottom lane here with Thresh and Tristana.
Yeah. Absolutely a ton of ability, something to watch for as we go ourselves into this game. I want to quickly shout out TSM's jungler Sven, who has said GLHF in both the early games. We don't show chat in the LCS, but I can see it on my monitor, and Cody's son gave him a GLHF back, so those two are the most well-mannered. They're getting honor this game.
All about that new honor system, huh?
Yeah. It's actually amazing how much I see people talk about it now. It's like, oh, I might get rewarded. I'm gonna be nice to everyone now. Why can't I honor more than one person? It's like, all right, that is making a difference. Oh, they hit him with a chair. Dishonorable.
At least they hit him in the face with a chair rather than in the back.
He's running away though.
2v1 would be more dishonorable. Gnar goes in for a ward during Svenskaren's trade here. Now he's just getting slapped from all sides.
Yep. All right, just a semi-aggressive trinket ward down from Hanser. Is going to spot out if the Olaf does the solo blue start. We know it's very interesting watching pro games, because you start to learn what the routes are based on the champion and based on the player. And it's like, Olaf does a lot of solo blue starts. I'm going to ward that to make sure that we know. Whereas like with a Rek'Sai, that would never happen. And based on the champions, you're like, here's how I'm going to set up for this one.
Yeah, or you could play jungle.
Huh?
Or you could play jungle, and then you start to figure out the routes.
Well, yeah, but I tried, and I'm bad. I'm like 3 divisions worse than the jungle.
At least you tried, though.
I did try.
Hanser getting the kite off. He does. One more boomerang.
Oh, the Q, it's up. Oh, look at that damage. Wow, that was insane.
Trades actually like that I don't think are beneficial for Flame this early on. Anyways, Smithy did go with the Raptor start here on Olaf. All it means is that you're going to need to go to your blue buff right after your red. You don't stop at wolves or anything. It's pretty easy because you just go to that little blast cone that's right on the other side and pop right over. But Olaf definitely does need that one to continue jungling. Very mana hungry with the undertow spam. And it does have a possibility of ending up with a threatening route here on the top side. Meanwhile, Svenskeren is going for the red quadrant clear, so could actually come to fight this Renekton early on as he's trying to bully Hanser, and he's got him a little bit out of sorts here. Throwing is it a
ice cube?
Ice cube, I guess. It's
Probably
probably more impressive than an ice cube. We should call it an iceberg or something.
It's an ice cube. Sorry, buddy.
All right.
It's rank 1. It's just going to refresh his drink. Sadly, he's not playing pool part of Renekton.
All right, but here it is. As expected, Svenskeren did the red quadrant clear. He's coming to punish this Renekton. Lots of minions to worry about, though.
Big the things in the water. Here comes the land shark over the plate. Knock up on a flame force. A flash wave, and the chase is in. First blood comes through for Sven, but here comes Xpithy. Here comes Pobelter, and Hanser going to be dropped down. The Justice Punch from downtime. Pobelter gets 1.
And they're able to shove the minion wave in. So Hanser should have to use his teleport as soon as he gets back up if he wants, the rest of this minion wave, because that's oftentimes even more important in top lane early skirmishes like that. Is minion waves that you kind of lose track of. Flame's going to use his teleport first to cut it off, and I like it because they're still sticking around. This is going to mean Flame will have very big experience advantage since he was pushing the lane early, even though he does die for the first blood. and the hook will turn into nothing. The wave management is so important for especially top lane. Anyway, let's take another look at it. Spencer comes in for the red quadrant, level 3, super fast. Kill here, true damage on your E feels so nice about Rek'Sai after the rework, and since Pobelter started channeling his teleport really early on, they get the counter kill, and all important wave management. Now the minions died into the turret, and you'll see Haunter still is just now catching up to Flame. He will retain 50% lead as far as the next level.
All right, well, we'll see as it comes through the rest of this landing phase. We look at the bot side, and it's -7, which I a little bit expect for a Kog'Maw. That wasn't a terrible laner, and Tristana's usually not given a nod as a great laner either, but I'd still expect Trist to win the lane. So far, that's happening right now for Doublelift, also based on the degree of player. Doublelift a much better laner overall, and that's somewhat to be expected here as they keep the push going. See if they can deny any more from Cody, Sun, and Co. Worth pointing out, though, that generally speaking, this comp from Immortals is not as bot lane focused, which is surprising because it's a Kog'Maw, but he's just kind of there to be part of the rest of the 4. And he'll participate what he can.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. Until the Galio hits level 6, and you kind of have to worry about that ultimate, it's more of a counter engage, though, right? You know, Braum and Galio is a good combo if people are charging at you, but not really for creating the plays on the bottom side. So you're right, it is a different look because in the past we were talking about Immortals staying proactive, creating plays with all this crowd control that they're bringing, but a lot of the crowd control this time around is, you know, a bit reactive, unless they have Olaf there leading the charge. So that's why it really is important to track Smithy in this game for TSM, and the longer they know his whereabouts, the more secure the field.
He's gonna stay on the camp. Oh, he's not gonna go for the fight. Thought maybe with the ward there, they could see like when he was burrowed and not, and like try to go for the battle, because Sven got pretty low on this.
Yeah, they lost track of Haunter, I think.
Yeah, too bad. And out goes Sven. Looks like that team's gonna stay safe for now. So the gold's still very close. TSM to a slight lead on the red side.
Yeah, I mean, Pobelter did have to pay for, you know, that teleport up to the top side with some CS in mid lane as well, on top of what Bjergsen was earning. So the Cassiopeia, as you said in Champ Select, is going to scale super nicely, put out quite a bit of damage, and especially here with blue buff, should be able to deal with the wave no problem.
Right, got a blue buff stacking up that tier. Catalyst's going to be next up almost for certain, and power will keep going up. Looks to chunk off the shield, and actually doesn't even get through that passive shield just yet from Pobelter. That'll come in maybe a bit later, but no harassment really being taken just yet. Bjergsen's going to go for a nice deep trinket to track Smithy later on. Maybe the third spawn of Raptors.
All right, as soon as I see Olaf level 6, though, you look for those aggressive charge moves. He has his Ghost available, and Bjergsen is a prime target. Both junglers are going, though. You can see Svenskaren's on the bottom side.
Justice punches in, goes to the taunt. Here comes a knock-up in for the teammate, and here comes the ulti across the boat by a bit more. And just gets him kind of out of the range. Sven, forced away, barely stays alive on the wrong side of this one. One more hit, he'll get a Smithy, and they do. Bjergsen gets one. Here comes the chase. Haunter, though, not going to transform just yet. And Balfrost by the few seconds with a hook, so a kill for TSM in the mid lane.
Flame is in the mid lane here, but he's going back up to top side. So Haunter pays back the teleport mid, and they're able to kill Smithy in that counter engagement. Good roam from Biofrost as well. As soon as the action started, he's heading all the way up there, and Svenskaren does get to finish off the Raptors.
Take him away. That's kind of nice right here. So 700 gold lead, maybe 800 based on the timing for TSM, and a nice casual recall gets quite a good set of items, actually. Catalyst plus the Dark Seal.
Take another look at this, because as we saw the Olaf coming in from top side, Sven was prepping already a play from the bottom side, and they got a pretty good knock up here, just the edge of the Galio ultimate to get Sven, but barely flashes over. One more auto or even an undertow over the side would have got him, but Haunter had teleported in and Biofrost had roamed up. That meant everybody from Immortals had to be in full retreat, and that's enough protection so Sven can live.
Well played there. TSM looking pretty sharp themselves. Double has a wave to clear out. He'll remain above in farm as Cody Sun will go for his first recall, and likely to be the Blade of the Ruin King start. That's been par for the course for Kog'Maw. We'll keep trying to scale up. Should have at least an uppercut. Probably more. 70 has a pretty late recall. Actually going to stay in lane for one more, hoping they can catch Doublelift on the wave push. As
Flame
fighting back and forth with Flame, gets a double dash, and like Mario Kart, he'll be fine. Now another hit comes in though. Flame, not going to get hypered. All right, we're fine here.
now we're going to see Olay trying to answer, but it's difficult at this point because the first team out to roaming like that gets the vision down, and then it becomes very difficult to try and play catch-up in the mid-game here. You have to walk through enemy vision. There's a process of worrying about getting picked. You can see Biofrost is just waiting for them, basically. They know that Olay is going to try and play catch-up here in the vision game, and he actually plays it very safe, and it's good for Olay that he doesn't go out there, venture by himself, and doesn't get picked off near the topside river. Maybe it'll happen to the bottom side, though.
Chair in the back. Biofrost turned around.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Olay was by himself. They didn't know that he was by himself, but they could have converged there for a bit of pressure. Svenskeren now getting slowed.
Gonna converge on the land shark here. Sven gonna jump the wall, dodges the undertow axe, and that is Ghost for a jump. And here comes the continued attempt. Sadly, the Ghost and the ult are gone, so nothing for Smithy. Sven getting away. Ult and Ghost down for Smithy.
And the teleport from Flame, who tried to cut him off. Not only does he leave lane for that, but big cooldown. Not able to use it now.
We're going to hope that something can come in later. Usually this comp from Immortals needs to snowball. I've seen them play it twice. The one where they had a rough early game, they got shut down pretty hard. The one with the good early game, they won in 28 minutes. We'll see if they can get the latter rather than the former. Hanzo transforming once again. Finds Flame. Ironically, the iceberg still does good damage against him.
It's got a giant frozen bird inside of it.
Penguin,
well.
I'm assuming.
Oh.
Which is a bird, right? Yep. And or the Batman villain. Probably the bird.
Far more creepy than the actual animal. Well, I'm actually still traumatized by that. I forget which one it was. But God, the actor who played it and the makeup that they used for the guy gave me nightmares when I was a child. Anyways, that penguin far more cute than the Gnar penguin that's frozen inside the ice cube. So no worry here, no nightmares for me tonight.
All right. Nice little chunk on a double if though. They're trading damage back and forth. Warlords gets him out of range. Cody's son gonna go for the damage focus build with the Fervor. Hanzo trading back and forth with Flame, some decent damage. And you can see right now it's not working well for Hanzo. He's down 13 minions. He's losing the early landing phase, but gets a stun. Gets an iceberg, hits with a penguin as well. And look at the damage output. Knocking on the crocodile.
Yeah.
Woo!
Harassment down.
The same penguins can't fly, but he's going far.
Little assisted flight there for the penguin.
It's more like falling with style.
Flame might have an assisted lane though. It's gonna be seen here on the ward, but you could still pressure the dive, and you have to worry about a Galio ultimate. That's why mid lane Galio is so effective and why they keep going back to it. It's the constant threat even of a top lane Galio that you have to respect. He doesn't even have to use it. Meanwhile though, happy to trade here. TSM once again, they did this in game number 1. They see that early pressure, that early first move of Immortal, and they're happy to trade objectives. The Drake instead, so they give up the turret. It is first turret bonus, so that's extra gold, but Mountain Drake should be able to get cleaned up here.
Yeah, that'll be clean enough. Of course, Mountain Drakes are slower to kill, and they will take down bot lane turret, and actually kind of props to Immortals killing as fast as they did, because they were about 30 seconds away from losing the bot lane outer right here. So again, continue props to Doublelift and Biofrost for their lane priority, for their pressure. 17 minion lead. The turret down here as well, 12 minutes in. And looks like TSM's lead may come through this bottom lane. Gold still 400 ahead. TSM's extra kill and extra farm, making up for the fact that first turret had gone down. Now, unlike the prior game, though, Mountain Drake is weaker than Infernal, generally speaking. It's slightly less of a positive trade to them, but still, again, a close game, and they're still at the Drake.
And as both teams do go for the recalls after those objectives, you have to worry about the one left up out on the field, which is that Rift Herald, and could translate into another outer turret going down. It's completely in the fog of war right now, and we saw a ping go down from TSM that they were unsure if Immortals had transitioned to the Rift Herald right after the turret. They had not, though, so TSM, even without vision, they don't lose out on the objective, and with them rotating their duo up to the top side after taking bottom side turret, they're now in position that they have the possibility of collecting the extra objective after second tower trade goes through.
And they may try to. We'll see what happens here. Tristana fast at killing turrets. Cody's son's Kog'Maw has lots of attack speed, so not terrible either, but Doublelift has insane items, and here comes the auto attacks in. Biofrost there to make sure it's even faster, and looks like they are hoping to trick or treat down that lane. Cody's son in costume. on that Kog'Maw. There we go. That turret's down to the first side. And yeah, TSM so much faster on the play. 4, 5, maybe 6 seconds or more. Hauntzer, though, being ranged, has some wave clear tools and certainly really slower going. And look at this, Sven just continuing to find objectives to solo.
Yep, exactly as you said. The Rift Herald now in TSM territory. Meanwhile, Immortals forcing.
Ooh, Hauntzer gonna chunk B down a half HP. The stun is in there as well. He's got no way out. The Living Artillery and the Bio-Arcane Barrage makes it happen. The tank staying alive, and that dive worked out well. Hauntzer.
Oh, now it's a low health Olaf with red buff gonna murder this turret. They should be able to catch right up. The only difference there is the kill gold. Meanwhile, in mid lane, Pobelter's being forced out of the mid lane as the Rift Herald is spawned, and that might help TSM to snowball this to an extra turret in the trade.
Looks like it will be so. Here we go, mid lane outer gonna fall as well. Makes it 3 for 2 in turrets. The downside being the 1 kill given away by Hauntzer, but worth it, you've got to imagine. Blue Steel coming in as well, and I don't believe Immortals got one themselves, though I could have missed it. And nice to know by TSM, actually stretching their lead by a couple hundred.
See what Immortals can do when they get back out on the field first, because that was TSM staying out a bit longer to collect the extra objective. In the end, they also have the vision advantage though, so it seems hard for Immortals to punish and even use the extra 20 seconds or so that they have to get much done. It's mostly just going to be about a little bit of it setup here for the jungle and support working as a duo. Actually setting up a pick there by themselves. They don't have too much damage, so low chance of really catching much with that.
Yeah, I think there's almost no reason to go to a lane with tier 2 already dead in a close game. Like, even though TSM have all these wards on the west-hand side, it's like, why would TSM go back there, though? There's almost nothing to accomplish, so I think it's going to be defensive for a little while. These wards will eventually time out. Difference in gold, 1,000, though, still in favor of TSM. And off the reset, you can see the lanes almost all at equilibrium. Top lane slight push for Immortals, bot lane slight push for TSM. Mid lane actually the same place right now by the river. Yeah, Sansa collects this wave and has one more to clear before it bounces.
All right, so with all these objective trades, pretty close game here. And the Infinity Edge now done for Double Lift. Starts to work on his next heal item, but there's a hook on Pobelter.
Good play as well, blocks out the hero's punch as well, and now they're gonna look for this one. Quick smite for Smith, he gets the blue buff taken up and knocked there on Ole. Does he have the W? Quick stun for Hauntzer, he's buying the time, and they're gonna knock down the support just maybe. Rexdale comes across, one more hit'll do it, and Sven gets that first kill. Now over the wall, another great hook. He's landed 2 on a Pobelter, but Kog'Maw on the back lines. They've got to respect Cody's son, who has got Ruin King done. Casts heal for the slowdown. Here comes the taunt. Not going to find much more than the Rex, but the first kill comes through to Cody's son. Hauntzer in the back. He's going to get shut down by Xfinity, going for more heroes entrance. Gonna get the knock up onto Bjergsen. Gonna knock up there on a double. The Winds of War. Not quite gonna shut him down. One more shot. Cody's son gets him despite the flash. And now a trade of autos. Whose ooze is better? And it's Cody's son getting several here. 4, 0, and 1 in the bot lane.
Oh, that skirmish. There was a little bit of miscoordination as well, as they didn't all go in at the same time. And a little bit of an exit on that side, but Immortals in the end are able to claim the victory and will be able to get some damage on the turret. I wonder if, even with this red buff, if he actually finishes the whole thing. Take another look, because this one was kind of all over the place. Both teleports come in at the exact same time for both top laners, and I thought that there was going to be an ultimate here from Ole, but he didn't quite have it, and he has to try and run away. Svenskeren gets him killed off before he's able to do anything about it, but then Svenskeren goes out as the rest of TSM are trying to chase, and Bjergsen has to flash for the slow to continue here. Then we have the split. Immortals immediately, their dive buddies, the trio, goes full force ahead. A little bit late ultimate there from Pobelter maybe, but he still got the very edge of the knockup onto Bjergsen and was able to get Double F just into range. So flash over from Cody's son was very much worth it.
Yep.
As he's able to take down both carries. And look at the damage from Bjergsen in that fight.
Actually insane right there. You can see he did actually immense stuff right here as Immortal's going to go for the attempt at the Drake. And TSM not going to be able to stop this one. And this is what Double has said at the beginning of the day about playing bot lane on the knife's edge, being willing to go aggressive to make the big play. Cody's son flashed over a wall forward with no escapes left to pick up those last 2 kills, make sure the fight went well.
Yeah, if you are sure that you can flash into auto range, then I would say 100% of the time go for it, because Double Lift can't flash out of Fog of War unless maybe he flashed into that side bush and there was no ward. Here we go though, teleport, and we have another engage.
Knock up on to Sven, he's got to run away. The damage output is there. Living Artillery shoots out for 1, has to flash for the second. Boxed by a bit of time. More slows coming in. No just yet, a big stun, but it's still picked off Bjergsen. Choo-choo! Here comes one more undertow, and Ole gonna hit him with the chair! Ooh, the tag team works out well. Immortals found themselves a new heal.
Yeah, we said the Braum and the Galio work best as counter-engage when the enemy team is jumping into you. They're able to pull it off here, and Immortals, again, just go full steam ahead. They have that front line that just wants to run you down. Svenskeren on the Rek'Sai, the drawback of the Warrior now, obviously very squishy compared to the old versions. He gets chunked out, and he actually has to run away trying to get in front of Bjergsen, so they actually leave their most fed member and their strongest teamfight member around behind as a sacrifice there, allowing Immortals to clean up the mid-turret as well.
And Immortals seem to be going for the kills first, the objectives afterwards, while the death timers are still there, and it's working. And you've only got one ranged champion in Kog'Maw in itself, a little bit of an unsafe champion. No escape tools innately, so had to do the hard work, but it certainly came through. So really, really nicely done here by Immortals, getting themselves a gold lead now, 1,000 up. Playing their style, and it looks beautiful.
See if they can keep the pressure up, though, because it really does just have that one direction if they're looking to continue the charge. And it works best in frequent fights because there are not flashes on the key carries that you're trying to run down. Bjergsen on the Cassiopeia still has a quarter of the time left on his flash, whereas, Olaf Ghost, that sucker comes up so quickly you almost don't even count it as a cooldown. And with the ultimate plus Ghost ready, he'll be able to use it again as a combo before Bjergsen even gets his flash.
That's why we see cooldown boots on Xfinity so much. It affects summoner cooldowns, 2 minutes 15 seconds in between those Ghost pops.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only buy for Olaf because he loves cooldown reduction. Flat cooldown reduction synergizes with the flat cooldown reduction you get for picking up your axes for undertow. So you get a lot of DPS increase with that. In addition, that summoner spell thing you mentioned, able to get multiple ghosts off within enemy flash timers.
He'll look Smithy. Wouldn't be smart, but he could do it. That is a quick satchel. Sorry, explosive charge. Hook is gonna hit him, and that's how that interacts.
I mean, once the animation starts, yep, able to complete it.
Yep, the hook pulls you back in 2 discrete segments, and it has to be timed in between the 2.
Yep.
Very
the wind-up for his punch is so strong. All right, here we go. Flame trying to chase down Haunter, who's going to go Mega, though. Better watch out.
A little bit of hyper damage. There we go, as Flame does have himself a bit of damage output here. Haunter's going to stun him against the wall, puts him into a penguin, and here comes Xmithy, though, settles a 1v2. And Haunter is going to try to run. He's going to look for the next play, gets the jump. Oh! The penguin gets tanked by Xmithy!
The Baron started as well during that engage, and here comes Immortals trying to stop it.
3 versus 4. Can the play even happen to this one? Flame too low to jump in. Look for this one. Here's the come, and they're going to be able to grab that one as Bjergsen. He's able to get that shot down on the Baron Nash. The early smite by Sven just to buy a bit more time.
Holy moly, the Earth Drake Cassiopeia Baron kills are absolutely insane. They melt it down even when Svenskeren gets like 3 shot there. And Immortals do have a small amount of time, but those are Baron-empowered recalls, and Ole got turned aggro!
He pulled aggro by the Q right to the hook.
Oh, now Ole's got it!
Oh, and Codius might die, but double jumps the wrong way, actually. Looks for the auto, has the red buff. And
oh!
That is a static shift crit right there, 600 damage, and Pobelter is next up. He is gone. A triple or double lift on the Tristana.
I mean, we said they only had one direction, but you really don't have to put it that far forward. Drawing turret aggro into the Baron-empowered recalls under the turret, just everything splats against the wall here for Immortals.
Oof.
And TSM are going to make them pay for it.
And it's only a 2,000 gold difference, but TSM has them right where they want the mid lane under fire. 13 seconds still on Pobot to respawn. Inhibitor is gone.
You can't make that type of mistake against a team that just took the Baron. Flame trying to look to, cut them off here, but it still is a 4-on-5. Pobelter doesn't have his ultimate and would have to teleport still a couple seconds, so that costs them not only the money from the kills, but also their inhibitor. And Sven is forced to go farm the Krugs during the blast cone. Here we go, though. They focus down the jungler, but it doesn't matter because Bjergsen does so much damage. Sven actually smites right before he dies for the extra health, too. and they still burn it down and get it. But then Olay, bad call here. It was it was definitely a team call because they all went forward, but whoever made it definitely not rewarded for that one. And there's your static shiv proc.
Well, 50th chance. Rolled the dice, flipped the coin, came up heads. Got the crit.
See if they can recover after that one, because that was a very costly mistake for Immortals. Double F loving it.
He's still spamming. You didn't even do anything cool, Double F. You stopped trying to attack to ward.
He one-shot the
He didn't know he did the replay. He's doing that after the fact. He's just twitchy.
He's just remembering the good times.
Great.
All right, let's see if they're still going to roll here.
Oh. Let's see, Immortal sent back to the room, briefly grounded by Bjergsen. I'm going to see where they can get an extra hook there on to roll off who runs back.
Chunking down the front line definitely is pretty big here. Flame actually speaking of chunks.
Mega Gnar into the wall, into the stun, into the penguin, to the auto attacks. Here comes for the wall! Oh no, Double It, but he's got to land and it's fine. Biofrost kept him alive. It was all a bait.
Knife's edge, freak.
Knife's edge, but he nearly caught himself.
It's all right, Biofrost took the knife out of his hands, threw it away.
Gave him the child scissors, the blunt edge in the front. Then you can play with crayons, Double, if you stop this.
To be fair, they both know that he's playing Thresh. They both know that the lantern's going to be there. So Doublelift knew that he had protective guns or protective gloves on, I guess.
Protective guns.
I don't know where that came from.
It's okay. I make mistakes too. Don't worry.
Regardless, TSM still able to sit back there with the extra 3,000 gold lead that they earned after and take the dragon.
You still do have to worry about the fact that there is a 5-1 and 3 Kog'Maw. Ruin King not terribly. Sorry. Rageblade, actually, he roughly has the money for right now. I think he's got exact combined costs. So power spike in for Cody-san. We'll see if they can turn back for Immortals. They've got a very beefy front line. And generally speaking, at this stage, I would still probably consider Kog'Maw to do more damage. Depends what comes next for the item builds, but right now I think Cody-san can out-damage Double if
they're
safe.
If they're both allowed to free fire standing still, 100% agree.
Yeah. It's not too. Nice little sidestep by Pobelter. Ready back and forth. TSM wanting to siege. No Baron buff left. Hanser going to get found out here in a 1v2. Hanser kind of short hops, but gets away from the range. Cody-san has spotted himself.
Oh, charging up the top pretty early here. I was wondering if he was going to... Oh, yeah.
Just because of the...
Every time I see it, I'm like, oh, he's going to go for a flash play?
I know, I know.
Yeah.
I get you. Cody takes away a small Krug, then back in the mix.
Flame still up in the jungle. I'm really sure how much value there is to coming from that flank angle at this point, but he is going to go for it.
A lot of hits on that turret, though. 300 health off of all the members. And Double now getting free time with rapid fire on. That turret is gone.
This 0-4 Gnar is doing so much damage to the front line. Hanser is just destroying Immortals' health bars on their front line. Even though it doesn't look flashy, there's a lot of work being put in by this Frozen Mallet, Black Cleaver combination. Last time he chunks down Flame, almost even kills him. And this time, he basically took Pobelter out of the fight and earned his team that turret just by whittling down the front line.
Well, let's see what comes up next. I talk about item builds a lot, but I want to bring up Knight's Vow on Biofrost. Because Thresh is technically ranged, it's half value. I feel like you're actually better off going for the other shielding items, the direct shielding items. More like Face the Mountain, and more like the Locket instead. But I'm not sure. I don't play a lot of Thresh myself. It just feels a bit weird to have the item be half value because he's ranged.
Yeah, and it's only half value on the passive, but I definitely agree with you. All right, here we go.
Same. Okay, Sven forced away on this one. Has to go back and forth. And yeah, that's actually low health bar and a TP coming through from Pobelter. Now, Flame still has his, so...
Hanser is still split pushing.
Yeah, that's an option, but see, TSM able to pull out one teleport. They're going to have Sven heal back up inside the base, come right back down. Middle inhibitor is back up. A bot lane was shoved in. That's going to be farm denied.
You got to be worried of Immortals right now because you have to do some vision work for this Baron. TSM, if they set up the vision and you have to face check through this jungle corridor, there's a Cassiopeia and a Thresh, not to mention Gnar's looking to get that Mega off into a plethora of walls all over the place here. This is setting up very nicely for TSM. Even though the gold lead isn't ginormous at this stage of the game, Cassiopeia damage super scaled right now. Tristana's got the crit multipliers coming in.
Yep.
And TSM definitely have that map pressure.
Let's see what's coming next for this one as TSM look to keep pushing forward. There's no turret defending the inhibitor.
Oh, Immortals want to flank. They're just going to charge for it.
Here comes the knockup from Galio right onto Bjergsen. The burst damage is there. He's going to flash for safety, buys a few more seconds. And a big stun comes across for the front line. A lot of time bought by Hanser, doing all the work that he can. But still, the bash buttons are there, and Sven going to lose the first life. Stun there on a pole belter. Looks for the taunt. Not going to get a lot with it. Double still coming around the wing, but it's a 5v4. Right now, Cody's W is down, so it's going to be a disengage. One kill picked up. A lot of summoners used, but they got that one.
That was actually an ideal start onto Bjergsen there, with Flame just waiting on the pink ward right there in the brush, able to get a perfect Galio ultimate on top of him, and they blow both summoners. Bjergsen does escape, and he does a good job turning around with Cassiopeia ultimate to disengage, but yeah. I think maybe Sven was baited into it, to thinking they were actually going for the counter kill there, and yeah, dives in with Rek'Sai very squishy, gets over the kill, and it's a jungler kill, so that's costly.
Nara still in the bot lane, 1v1. Here comes Double from the wings, but it's, again, they have to try to somehow outsmite Smite without one themselves, and not coming through, trying to buy time. They got to finish off the Baron with Nick Smithy. They're going to go for it, and they pick it up pretty cleanly. But one kill in his Pobot has already gone. TP and Flame is in this fight. Rek'Sai can come in soon. The flash get away. Smithy left alone. He's got Ghost, but now there could be a re-engage. A lot of damage out of Cody Sen. Gets one, traded back. On the map, though, it's 3 versus 4. Sven waiting in the wings, and there's no way out for Immortals. They maybe could use the Blast Cone.
They had a Blast Cone.
And they don't use it. They jump the wall, though. They are safe for now. Now, can they split up TSM? Cody's son is still safe. Powalter cannot join the fight. He does not have teleport. 20 seconds till the respawn as well. They're still running, but Ole is low.
Ole has exhaust, but no ultimate, and they get the hook.
They got a little bit onto Flame, the stun, the knock up there out of Cody. He said he's got to get the auto attacks and he get the damage. They cannot do so. And Flame, one more attack, and he can't make it either. 2 for 0. Ole the trade going to come in as Sven chased down one final kill. Big fight out of TSM. They get the ace despite losing the Baron.
Absolutely destroyed here. Nobody from Immortals makes it out alive. They don't use the Blast Cone. They don't split up to try and use Baron-empowered recalls to get away. And nobody lives in the end. There's a time and a place for, no man left behind. And this is not it. All right. They do sacrifice Pobelter just to get the Baron. And then you just got to get somebody out. You got to get people to survive. Hunter does go down as Cody Sun gets the counter kill, but nobody goes for the Blast Cone. Nobody splits. Exactly. They go deeper into the enemy jungle. So TSM are like, oh, great, we'll take away the Blast Cone. And then they come in here to finish them off. Immortals. Looks like they had it in their planning to maybe try and fight this all along or something, but yeah, definitely unable to do though. The Cassiopeia ultimate, by the way, just barely came back up off of cooldown. It was not available during the actual Baron fight where they were trying to get him into the pit. So it came up during that long chase where Immortals went deeper into the jungle.
And as TSM able to get more of the map as it times out, they didn't go for the middle inhibitor, but instead they healed up and they took down this extra Drake. So Ocean needs more regen. Doublelift actually not going for the more damaging build, putting a Bloodthirster for more safety. It's understandable. His damage probably high enough regardless.
Especially when you're facing a 4-man dive squad.
Yeah. Right now he's going to go just for that one as they trade for ward control back in this bottom side of the map. Immortals holding most of it now. TSM still finding their footing, though. They've got this 5,000 gold lead. No Baron for 6 minutes for unsurprising reasons. Lock it done for Biofrost means more tank stats, going for even more durability soon. Not going to get the hook on a flame just yet. As again, mid lane is the easiest of the options, since there's no turret there. But they're going to go bot lane instead. They think they can knock that one down.
Yeah, pretty straightforward here from TSM. Just trying to 5-man push into the base. They look for the pick. Monster's charging up for the Meganar right now.
And for Cody's son, that's his next power spike versus the Bloodthirster of Doublelift.
That safety with the Dark Passage is so reassuring here for Doublelift to be able to stand on the front lines.
And really, that's almost impossible to shut him out of this one. You have to go for a taunt flash into a Justice Punch, and maybe that'll lock you out of the Lantern, but Doublelift will have a lot of ways to get one single auto attack on the turret. He's got Shiv, not Rapid Fire Cannon. Turret goes down. Back he goes.
Flame is waiting again to try and flank from the side here up in the jungle, but Hanser spotted him.
Nice play by Hanser. Still waiting on the siege. Now 2 open inhibitors. Doublelift caught with the slow. But he's all right. There's no range champions to land more. Actually, now he's going to find Cody. A couple attacks back and forth. Jump right back out. Here comes Smithy who wants it. Here comes the Heroes Editors as well. And he's going to find no knockups. And Smithy almost is down. Cassiopeia buying some time. The jump forward for double it. And Powelter got to get taken out of that one. 50-second death timer, and the health bars are low. So TSM have full reign over the base. They're going to push in. Inhibitor plus more.
Should be able to melt through these Nexus turrets as well. TSM, 4v5, Immortals have to go.
You're going to think so. Here comes the play. A big Meganar pulls in the team. They're looking for Cody, so they're going to shut him down at the very start. And there is no damage left. Nothing to stop TSM from making it the 2-0. Double up unstoppable. Jumping around, cutting away, getting the kills picked up. Bjergsen won as well. And you can hear the crowd cheering for the team that is 1-2-0. Taking down North America's #1 TSM. Heading to Rift Rivals off a 2-0 win over Immortals. And it was nice to see players take turns carrying in this series from them. You had the two solo laners, Bjergsen and Hanser, putting in all the work in game one, but here, Biofrost 2-0-14, unkilled, only missed out on one the entire game otherwise.
So many lives saved by that Dark Passage from Biofrost, and so many openings given to more aggressive play from Doublelift on his Tristana.
Yep.
This same Tristana that Sneaky used yesterday for Cloud9's victory over TSM. Now Doublelift picks it up and earns themselves a victory here and a match secured.
Yeah, and Double certainly did well. Again, they had lane pressure the whole time. They got TSM's first turret, though not the first turret of the game. It was top lane for Immortals who did that, but put out decent damage. Only one death the entire game. Certainly was great team fight insurance. I really did like Bjergsen's Cassiopeia though it was killed a few times. He had 3 deaths. He had highest damage in the team, had a couple of very high impact ultimates to set up those team fights as well.
And that's kind of the balance of the compositions when we saw him in Champ Select and we're like, all right, this is scary, full steam ahead, dive comp here from Immortals. But the Cassiopeia into a Galio is going to have free farm, and that scaling, if there's nothing to slow it down, the damage just gets insane, and the graph's definitely telling that story as well.
Absolutely the case. Cody-san, to his credit, did do plenty of damage himself, was the highest in the game and more than double anyone else on his team, but the comp that Immortals ran right there is one where you kind of have to snowball, it feels like. Your wave clear is pretty poor, and you're kind of saying go the whole time, and if the go button gets you killed, there's not a plan B really available, and TSM did a very good job of holding on against that pressure. There were some leads for Immortals, but TSM team fought well, and then there was an untouchable Tristana by the late game and killed everyone.
Yeah, I have to say, really well played by Biofrost. Time and time again, when we keep seeing his Thresh come back up, everyone's reminded, yeah, it's true of a lot of support players that they main Thresh at one time, but the versatility of the champion and the plays that you're able to open up are definitely unique.
I gotta say, really huge stuff out of Biofrost, and it's, again, I like when the champions have a lot of room to express skill and express sort of some playstyle stuff. But you're playing Karma, it's like, well, I queued you and I shielded the team. And that's your outplay moment right
Everybody just hates on Karma.
Karma's the most boring of supports, honestly. Like, I think she really is. She has the least impact kind of in interestingness. But with Thresh, it's like, okay, understanding when to go for the aggressive play, when you go for the flash play. Like, you're flashing for a basic ability just to make sure the slow lands for the rest of your kit to land.
Don't think anyone will argue with you there.
Someone back, right? Play in the back so you can lantern someone back out if they're going for the turret kill with the Tristana, so lots of fun stuff. Either way, we want to hear more about that TSM win. So let's check in with Azale, who has an interview with the man in the victorious bot lane.
Thanks, guys. Great castle today. I'm here with Doublelift after a 2-0 over Immortals, who, we're looking like the #1 team. How do you think that the TSM is doing right now, and how do you think that you guys stack up to the rest of the LCS?
We're definitely really weird because, we've been, we always talk about how we're trying new stuff, but, we, really upped our Jhin priority for this weekend, as you can tell. And I guess we're just experimenting a lot with, picks that I feel like could be really strong, but aren't played as much. Like in an LCS, I think Jhin is really only played by Arrow, but he makes it look really good. So I feel like certain picks, like Jhin, like Thresh, they don't get picked as much as they could be. And so we're just trying to, push that. But then in Game 2 Immortals, we're just like, fuck it, we're just going to try hard. And we just picked Cassio Tristana, and we just steamrolled them. So I feel like if we're really trying super hard, we're definitely the best team in NA. And at Rift Rivals, we will probably show that.
Okay, well, speaking about Rift Rivals, and speaking about some of your confidence, in this season and against some of the AD carries you'll be playing there, guys like Reckless and Sven are very hyped up in the European community, in the world at large. how do you think that you match up against those guys? And like, are you back to super confident doublelift? It feels like you've been kind of more subdued this split, haven't been as cocky or confident as people are used to.
Yeah, dude, AD carry just sucks. I just hate this rule is just garbage. But you know, sometimes I get to play Tristana or Caitlyn, and I just get a 1v5, and that feels pretty good. I feel like Reckless is a good example. Zen's hella hyped up, but like this split, I feel like he's getting very similar treatment where he just plays meta and like he can't have a huge game impact. But then Reckless, I feel like Fnatic, they just play so much around him, and it's just about Reckless. Like it's about him split pushing and getting a 2-level, 3-level lead on the enemy AD carry, never grouping, always farming, and then going like this full carry build with like Frozen Mallet as a 4th item because he's just has such a big gold lead. I mean, I invented that playstyle, so it's gonna be free.
So if that's the playstyle, why isn't TSM doing it? Why aren't you guys? Are you not the AD carry that he is? Why can't you run the same thing?
I mean, it's just boring, dude. You're just farming for like 50 minutes. I think the best teams in the world, they know how to play fast and they know how to punish that. You know, they set up vision, they starve the enemy team, and they close out the game within 30 minutes. And that's the style that we are aiming to get to. And, you know, we end up throwing a lot of games because we're so, you know, we get ahead and we mess up in closing out. But we're aiming to be, you know, the team that doesn't let a team do these like late game strategies. We're aiming to be a team that just, if we get an advantage, we're just going to close out.
All right, so last question. You guys are flying to Rift Rivals tonight. There's a lot of talk about how Europe is the stronger region right now. Do you guys have high expectations going into it? Think you can get some wins?
It's actually really funny because, like, I think G2's on a downswing, and that's their first place team. But then for us, like, Phoenix 1 is on a downswing, and that's our 3rd place team. So in terms of, like, the regional parity there, I think we have an advantage. But, you know, Fnatic is on an upswing to compensate for G2. So I don't know. All this shit talk, it's pretty empty-handed, you know? Like, EU has an advantage because they got 2nd place in MSI. But I'm pretty confident I'm the best AD carry going to Rift Rivals.
All right, well, we'll see if you can prove that next week at Rift Rivals. Thank you very much, Doublelift, and we're going to send it back to the guys at the desk.
Thank you very much, Azael. Great to hear from Doublelift there. A little bit of his old personality there creeping back in.
Someone get a filter on that guy. There's children watching.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, that's that confidence that Doublelift himself has spoken about. He's trying to find again, right? And as we speak about this, we've spoken about ADCs today and a lot of the big matchups that we have. Here we have, you know, the best bot laner in NALCS. This is from Fuel here. Doublelift. He's always been the best. He's just trying to find his way back to that prime state that he's always been in. And I would say that I think to a degree, TSM's performance in the first couple weeks has marred our opinion of a lot of them as individuals just because they did struggle and they weren't up to this point #1 in the league. But hey, they just took down Immortals 2-0.
Yeah, and I think the thing to note is like even when they were struggling and Doublelift not 100% on form, it's not like they're bad. They're still really good players. It's Doublelift is in the middle of the pack and TSM's in the middle of the pack versus they're leading it and the rest of the teams are trying to catch up to them.
I also find it intriguing though what he talks about in terms of, you know, what the best teams in the world do. And for the first time we get a real sense of what they're aiming for as a squad, which is that they believe the best teams in the world can not only play quickly, but force the action, create the plays so that you don't allow someone to sit in the side lane and farm up, which is something that Doublelift is used to some degree and is what allowed him to position himself as such a late game carry.
Just look at the series versus C9 and TSM yesterday. They were very close games and suddenly it would break open and be over at 30, 35 minutes. And I'm obviously not saying C9 and TSM, 2 of the top teams in the world, but that is the kind of play style that you want to see where you mess up, I get a 4-0, I get Baron, and now I'm ending the game in the next 10 minutes.
And a lot of times what that means, though, is that the AD carry is not the playmaker, right? We're seeing the supports be the playmakers along with sometimes the mid laners landing big stuns or something like that. And so the AD carry role in general doesn't look as impressive, although it is still very much integral to the success of a team.
Yeah, just on the other stream, for example, Sneaky's on Caitlyn and just sitting in front of turrets and murdering turrets and people who try and jump onto
Doesn't look flashy, but it's necessary in order to get the victory on that champion. With this in mind, let's take a look at the team comps here. The Tristana coming out for Doublelift this time around, right alongside the Cassiopeia. So 2 huge damage threats on TSM across from 4 huge tanks on the side of Immortals. Ultimately, damage wins out in this case.
Super interesting example of 2 different team comps where it's a heavy dive comp, but the problem is you're trying to get into Tristana, very mobile. The Gnar is also mobile while providing a lot of damage in the mini Gnar form, way more than the traditional tank.
Well, yeah, and damage to tanks. That's the thing, because of that 3 auto attack proc.
Right, and then you have Thresh being able to reposition the normally immobile Cassiopeia. So even though it is this heavy dive comp, you do have a couple tools to deal with it, and Immortals are going to need to find good engages to actually win because because even with a Kog'Maw sitting in the back line, yeah, he had the most damage by a whopping 100 or 10 or whatever it was over the Cassiopeia. The Tristana and the Gnar did way more damage than their counterparts.
And we had a really good example of how these two team comps interact coming 16 minutes into the game. Immortals comes out on top by 1 kill, 4 for 3 in the trade. But again, you're seeing this idea of the diving tanky front line that's trying to get onto a priority target while, you know, Kog'Maw gets out as much damage as he can, and then on the flip side, we're just shredding tanks.
Yeah, TSM constantly kiting back, trying to get away. They get onto the Braum, maybe a little bit over
There's
focus
that reposition.
And then, you know, Flame not really being able to get much done in this fight. He should be one of the most important members for finishing off the Cassiopeia, but has a really hard time getting involved. Bjergsen does go for that flash slow, which kind of opens him up for the turn that comes in for Immortals here. And this is super close to them actually winning this for TSM. Just barely unable to finish off a couple members as Pobelter finds a good angle. And, you know, Cody's done a nice flash fall there to get the double lift and almost loses this duel. Just a little bit too much damage for Cassiopeia at that point in the game. But you see that, you know, it's not hard for TSM to actually melt down those tanks. You just focus one down, focus the next one, tons of single target damage.
But I think a lot of people at first glance would look at Immortals team composition like, oh, cool, the only person you need to kill is Kog'Maw. Because if you kill him, they've got no damage left. Yeah, how are you supposed to get to Kog'Maw, though? Through 3, you know, 2K, 2.5K, 3K health tanks, you know, that you have to run through. It's not going to happen.
No.
And so TSM wisely builds their composition to shred through tanks with that Gnar coming in as kind of a unique pick in the top lane.
Yeah, if you tunnel on finishing off the Kog'Maw, your Cassio's going to have to walk forward into that heavy dive comp. Same thing with the Tristana. Your Gnar is no longer going to be focused on hitting tanks. It's going to be in the middle of that team comp. And they have as much a dive. They have a ton of peel too. Braum, Galio can all do that extremely well while you leave the Renekton and Olaf to solo out that Cassio. So it's much smarter the way TSM played it. Melt the front line first. It might seem scary versus the Kog'Maw, but you have the Cassio Gnar to throw that extra damage in with, you know, Trist, no joke in the late game either.
And while that replay went in favor of Immortals by 1 kill, not 6 minutes later, TSM comes out on top with a Baron plus 3 kills for 0 here. Very decisive call from them. They also very equipped to take down Barons quickly.
Yeah, we're talking about fast single target damage team comps. This is a great one. They also had an early Mountain Dragon, so they go for a really aggressive call to take this Baron. They do lose 2 members, but it baits Immortals for trying to capitalize and say we have a small power play right now. Let's go and take this turret down, get a little bit of this global gold back, but they get a little too greedy. Ole gets hooked out. He gets focused down extremely quickly, and then they don't have the dive tools available because they just used all of them in that Baron situation.
Look at this crit through the Galio damage reduction, too.
This is why we're saying Tristana, no joke in the late game, will do plenty of damage. And just a small overextension here on Immortals that we're talking about TSM wanting to be able to close games out quickly. You need to be able to punish when people make a mistake, and there you see that gold graph.
Boom, 22 minutes.
Swing right down to their favor.
And that's that thing. It's finding that exact opening where you can make a big play. Once you've made that play and you've gotten your advantage, closing it out smartly. So although there was that small blunder there where we see the gold graph dip in Immortals' favor, TSM is able to grab the game back, and honestly, 34 minutes is a very quick game as compared to some of the other ones we've seen this split. So in terms of TSM turning things around, moving into Rift Rivals and wanting to show that they can be a global powerhouse, this will be a good way for them to depart from North America.
Very good feeling ending, you know, right before on a victory against the top team, the way that you do it too. 2 quick games. And then the big thing was that, you know, a bunch of people actually looked good. There was Double Lift and Bjergsen playing extremely well over the 2 games. Hanser took a lot of pressure that game. He was camped really, really hard at 0-5, I think. But he was able to bounce back and play frontline that he needed to for the team.
Very much so. Now, Biofrost will pick up player of the game, mostly for his ability to create openings for TSM, as well as play that defensive game, reposition for the immobile carry in Bjergsen, and basically allow his 2 damage threats to really shred through the tanks.
Yeah, you just look at those 2 highlights, and the first one's able to reposition a couple members, get them in the right spot to keep DPSing people down.
Also deathless.
Yeah, worth
just
noting.
Realize that.
High kill participation, but
yeah, he played all right.
Yeah, second replay that they show, he hooks them in and lets the 2 single target focus down Ole, able to basically be the facilitator for TSM.
Yeah, TSM moves to 7-3. That ties the match win record of Immortals. Immortals still has 1 more game to play this weekend, so there's a discrepancy in the score lines there. Either way, a good win for TSM before they head over to EU. We've got more league action coming your way, though. Team Dignitas hits the Rift next as they go up against FlyQuest. As we go to break, though, TSM's weekend has come to a close. Make sure you cheer them on as they face off against EU at Rift Rivals.